Okay, so this is going to be a quick review of the Oura Ring 2.0. The reason that this video has taken me so long was that in the original unboxing video, I mentioned that I bought a ring that was just fit and potentially too small, and after much deliberation, I decided to return it, which took about a month, and then I wanted to actually use it for a month. So that's why this video is delayed. The lesson there is, if you are unsure at all about your ring size, definitely use the Oura Ring sizing kit when ordering the ring. There's a little bit of optical sensors in here that may make the ring size a little different than the traditional ring. So I went up a full ring size, and sometimes even this, it fits pretty well, but it takes a second to come off. I don't know. Sometimes when my hands swell, it feels a little tight, but it's still it still fits. But that's the lesson. Definitely use the ring kit. So without further ado, I'm going to talk about the positives of the ring. First and foremost, the build quality is very nice. It hasn't broken. I've taken it in the sauna. I've taken it in the ocean. I've washed dishes. I take showers. And the only thing I'm noticing is like a slight amount of scratching on the bottom here. You probably won't be able to see that. I'll try to take a picture and add it in. So that's after about 2 months of having it. Ideally, there'd be no scratching. I don't really know what the norm is here, but it doesn't bother me. I just hope it doesn't continue and get worse. Maybe you don't use it when you're washing the dishes or doing any kind of stuff that's abrasive. I'm going to start by talking about the app a little bit. The app is very good. It's basically divided into 4 pages: home page, a readiness score, a sleep score, and an activity score page. There's also a section to look at different trends, which is very nice. But overall, day to day, I look at the 3 different sections on the app most of all. So the first is the readiness score, and the readiness score is a sort of a composite of the sleep score, the activity score, heart rate data, respiratory data that it takes in the morning. Basically a lot of stuff that it takes from sleep and heart rate data, and tries to combine that into a metric of how ready you are to face the day from 0 to 100. Generally, it's somewhere from 50 to 100 for me. I find that this is an interesting thing to look at. I don't really base my day or my training on it. That said, I don't compete. I just work out for personal health. So maybe if you're a very elite athlete or something, this might be interesting for you. But for me, I stick more to what I can get done during the day than what the ring is telling me. Although I will say that, if you've had a big night out, it's definitely reflected in the readiness score, as well as the sleep score, and that's pretty cool. The second metric and page in the app is sleep. That's a very, it's probably the best part of the ring. It's definitely the best part of the ring. It breaks down your heart rate variability. Or actually, I think that's in the readiness app, sorry. So it breaks down your heart rate, sleep stages. The sleep stage breakdown is very good. It seems pretty accurate. I've never done a sleep lab, but I think I'm a pretty good sleeper, and the data seems to bear that out. One point of comparison is this Garmin HR Vivo fitness tracker, and the sleep data on this is not broken down by different types of sleep. It's more just sleep and awake, and this thing is a piece of junk by comparison, and I think it's about half the price too, so take that for what it's worth. Also the one thing I've enjoyed is that the heart rate data that this ring produces seems to be very accurate. Again, this thing, terrible heart rate data. I have a pulse oximeter that I put on sometimes just to compare for the morning, and it seems about right relative to the information that this is giving. So I've been very pleased with that. Heart rate variability also seems good. Yeah, the sleep is great. Also, again, if you have too many drinks, you're going to see that affected in your sleep score. It also has measures respiratory rate and body temperature. Those don't mean that much to me, but I think it just counts into your readiness score for the day, and it's kind of nice to think that that's something they're looking at. So the third screen or pillar of this device is the activity metric, which is sort of a rolling average of your activity over the last 10 days, as I understand it, which is translated into a score. For me, this is not that useful. I just kind of track whether I do my workouts or not, and I haven't seen too much variation in the activity tracking. I do like the heart rate readout it gives throughout the day. It's not as detailed as I'd like, but it is pretty good as I've thought about it. Most of your day, you're in the low heart rate zone, and then when you're working out, any kind of moderate activity, even semi-high to moderate activity, you're in the medium heart rate zone, and like anaerobic sprinting will put you into the high impact zone. And unless you're really need like specific workout data, it's a pretty good indicator of how your heart rate's been over the course of the day. So it's not something that I care too much about, but it is something that I'll look at and say, hey, how did my heart rate break down over the course of that workout? And it is, interesting to look at. So definitely good data overall and good build. The battery life lasts about 5 days. I took it on a trip once without the charger, and that was fine. Charging it's easy, charges very quickly, so I haven't had any problems on the battery front. As long as you can remember to charge it every 3 days or so, it shouldn't be a problem. On to the negatives. I covered in great detail in my last video how disappointed I was, not only with how long the ring took to get here once I'd order it, but with the general lack of appreciation from the people at Oura. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole again, so you can check out my last video if you want to see that. I don't know whether or not they've increased their production. I've just selfishly been using the ring, and I would check out their Facebook page. That's where people were complaining before. Maybe contact customer service and ask them twice, because I'm sure they'll give you the stock answer the first time. But yeah, hopefully they've sorted out the production problems. I think they were getting better in terms of lead time over the course of my waiting for the ring. So hopefully things are better now. Do your own due diligence, or maybe ask someone else who's ordered it recently how long it took for them to get it. But hopefully that'll be sorted out as time goes on, if it's not already. The other thing I'm a little bit disappointed with, and I should have known this, but I never wore rings before. And apparently you can't wear rings when you're in like a weightlifting pull-up gym environment, because there's potential for the ring to snag and effectively act as like a lever and potentially even rip your finger off. This has happened to people, and it's not always a complete rip finger amputation, but I know, for instance, Jimmy Fallon, who's the famous television host, was wearing a cast for several weeks because he had an incident in the gym, not with an Oura ring, but I think with some other type of ring that did some serious damage to one of his fingers. So it's a little bit disappointing that I can't wear this when I'm doing a CrossFit workout or a just regular weights workout. You can input activity data manually. I'm lazy. I don't look at the activity data that much, so I don't do it, but you could. My other big gripe with the ring is that I thought that it would be giving heart rate data constantly over the course of the day. But that's not the case. What it actually does is it seems to take data every few minutes, kind of depending on your activity level. So it'll use the accelerometer and other things to detect if you're doing some kind of activity, and then it'll measure kind of heart rate for the activity thing, but it won't give you a detailed heart rate readout like you might like. And so I was hoping that it would give me a full day. Apparently, from what I'm reading, that's not possible just due to battery constraints, which is fine, I guess. I mean, let's be honest, most of the days people are just walking around. Your heart rate doesn't change. It would be nice to have, but it's not possible. That's okay. But, you know, there are instances like when you're doing a real workout, or you're going in the sauna, or meditating, or breathing exercises, what have you, where you want to have a detailed heart rate graph. And that would be nice to have. The company has said that they were going to put out a feature in early 2009 where you could manually turn on the heart rate monitoring. That hasn't been released, and this is April 2019. So hopefully the company comes out with that, because that would be really fantastic. You know, when I use the sauna, I really find it interesting to see what my heart rate level is, or at least has been. So I'd love to have that, and that would be a great feature. Oura Ring, if you're watching, please do that. So overall, it's a good wearable, but it is expensive. And so it's hard to say, you know, definitely go out and get it. I think that if you have the money laying around for a wearable, especially if you have some kind of sleep concerns, it's probably definitely a good investment. I haven't tried the Garmin Fenix watches, which are, I think, considerably more expensive than this, is around 300 USD. It's considerably more expensive than that, but I have seen some of their data output and it seems interesting, but they're not really in the same price range. So I'm not sure if it's a good point of comparison. When I think about this ring, I think about, in general, the biggest hurdle for me is whether or not a device creates a behavioral change. Because that's a very high hurdle. Most things we buy don't really change the way we behave in the long run. You know, there might be a fascination element at first, but meaningful behavioral change is really hard to buy your way into. And I think that the Oura Ring has ever so slightly passed that hurdle for me. And I say that because I use it. I do find myself thinking about what's my sleep score going to be, or I need to get sleep because I don't want my sleep score to be bad. So in a sense, as I kind of hoped, the Oura Ring has sort of gamified my sleeping patterns. I like to see a score personally that's above 80s. I'd love to get it so that it's in the 90s. Still something I'm working on. But at least in that single respect, and it is a very important respect, the Oura Ring has made me behave differently when it comes to sleep. So in that sense, I think there are a lot of things you can spend your money on. Until recently in the wearable space, I don't think there have been many things that would make a meaningful behavioral impact. And so that's why I think I can recommend the Oura Ring, at least from my perspective. Even though it's not a perfect activity tracker, and even though I don't even honestly like wearing rings, I'd rather not. I think having really good sleep data and creating a semi-objective metric that you can rate yourself against is very much a worthwhile thing. And especially if people have been reading the book by Dr. Matthew Walker, Why We Sleep, you'll know that sleep is, you know, probably more important than nutrition and exercise in terms of your overall health. So with that said, if you have the money, if they've sorted out the production problems, and if you want to sort of gamify your sleep cycle, I definitely recommend it. But I would say that if you're looking for like a heart rate monitor or other type of, activity tracker, this is probably not your best choice. But I've enjoyed it. And that said, I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you like it, hit the like button. If you want to see more, please subscribe. If you have questions that I haven't answered, throw them below and I'll try to answer every single one. But otherwise, I will catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.